So here we go, boys. It's finally here. All the changes that we talked about yesterday are here. So let's take a proper look on them now that they are in the game, right? We start off with the F-16As. All the A's now have the ALR 69, so it's a buff on the RWR that they use, okay? This is the RWR that the ADFs use, for example, right? So it's a small upgrade, but it basically will have a more broader bandwidth that it can actually detect, okay? So it will detect more targets and stuff, helping it out be a little bit more ready for some types of targets that are going to lock you up, okay? So the next one is the nerf on the radar of the Mirage 2000s, okay? So the 4000, the 2000Cs, the Dash 5s, all these aircraft got a radar nerf. We're gonna try to test it out, but basically how it works now is that you cannot detect more than 8 targets with the TWS, right? So we are only seeing 2 over here, and of course in matches that have, you know, 16 players like this, you will have a little bit of a problem detecting targets at the early stages of the match. You know, over here it's probably already the limit. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think there's pretty much it, you know, so you can see that you cannot detect too many of the targets that are flying around there, you know. Will this change too much of how you actually use these radars normally? No, because you can only use 4 missiles anyway, and if I'm not mistaken, and also, I mean, you know, it's only at the early stages of the matches, right? But it is a nerf nonetheless, so there you go, right? So yeah, you will be able, even though there will be more targets there, you won't be able to actually see them on the radar screen, okay? And then we have to talk about the Copio radar change. So now, as you can see, we have a bigger scale here, and the Copio on the 25 and on the 21, so the MiG-21 Bison and in the Su-39, they all have more range now. Of course, remember guys, this is ground MTI, so it means that you only will be able to detect the targets when they are moving. So we're gonna try to see what is the max range that we can get a detection over here. Of course, it depends on the size of the target and many other things, but it should be increased, okay? It should be increased. There you go, see? So 20 kilometers, I mean, this is the normal thing. Well, I don't know. Maybe for a smaller target is basically the same. Maybe for a bigger target is more. I don't know. It's starting to detect at 20 kilometers anyway, so it's kind of funny. Let me get closer to those targets over there just to see. Oh, there you go. Close to 50 kilometers. No, it's 20 kilometers. Yeah. So I don't know. They say they increased the range. The scale is there, but at the end of the day, you're getting detections against tanks at 20. Maybe it's like for ships or something, but yeah, not too much of an improvement. But it is a buff, they say. So, and now we have with all the MiG-23s, all the MiG-27s, the Su-25T, Su-39, and Su-25BM, the RITA, the RI-65. So I'm gonna be quiet right now. So you can see that we have RITA over here just complaining about my maneuvering abilities, right? And just like I talked about yesterday, they added the RI-5390 to the Buccaneers, the normal Buccaneers. Of course, we had that with the S2B, but now the S2 and the S1 also have those radars. So it's an air-to-air radar. Very much useless on this aircraft almost, but it's still an addition, which is cool. And just like I said yesterday, they actually changed a little bit of the Sparrow. Will it change the flight performance? Probably not, okay? Probably not, but they basically increased the diameter of the missile for the E-Series, E2, Skyflash, Dogfight, Aspide 1A. They say it's only for those, but I think in the data mines that we talked about yesterday, it is for all Sparrows. And again, guys, they decreased the coefficient of drag, but they increased the size of the missile, so it's probably going to be basically the same, okay? Just because something is having a lower coefficient of drag doesn't mean that it is lowering the drag. It is just part of the calculation. The size of the thing that is going through the air also matters in the calculation of drag, okay? But yeah, they did a little bit of a change, so it might, probably not, but might mean that the Sparrow is a little bit different, okay, but not by much. It will probably be pretty much the same. It's kind of funny that they actually changed the name of the Vickers and Mark III and the Vijayanta shell. So before it was named the M728, now it is named as the L52A1, right? The round itself is the same, but it is a different name. So for the British. And talking about tanks, we need to talk about the Americans, guys. The Americans. The nerf that is going on for the HA, basically the heat rounds and multi-purpose rounds for the 120s. So here it is. Here we have the nerf is already here. You can already see it. I mean, it's a lot worse than what it was. Doesn't mean much. Maybe a little bit depending on how you are using this, because what they changed here is basically the explosive mass. You can see that now is 966 grams, and it was like 1 point something kilograms, right? So it is basically the explosive mass of both these rounds that got nerfed, and that creates a problem in one specific situation, which is high explosive, fragmentation penetration, armor penetration, right? So you can see that now it was like 26, now it is 18 millimeters. So that means that as an HE shell, they will be way less effective. Of course, they can still be used as a heat round technically, but they penetrate almost nothing with that, So at the end of the day, if you want to use some form of heat round, I mean, it's just probably better to use the 830. It just has way more penetration, and you can see there in the cumulative jet it can penetrate, but let's be honest, unless it's a very lightly armored vehicle, you won't be able to do anything, right? And it has way less than this. So normally I wouldn't even use these rounds. I would use just the HU, and then probably something that has a time fuse more for helicopters and then for very lightly armored vehicles, right? So for example, here we have this that will do that, and it's a little bit better on the kinetic penetration there, but the even in the normal penetration it is worse than the other one in the cumulative jet, right? So probably the 830A1 would be better just because you can use it against helicopters and stuff. Okay, that's my opinion. It has more cumulative jet penetration. Armor penetration with like an HE kind of situation will do less damage now. But also, I mean, if you want to, you can take some of these, but I don't see too much of the point, Both of them can do well, but the deal, it's kind of, a very small nerf, but it probably will affect, especially sometimes against helicopters when you are trying to destroy them, if it's a very heavily armored vehicle and if you are not really hitting it properly. So if you're missing by a little bit and stuff, this 18 millimeter armor penetration with the high explosive nerf might be something that will affect that. Everything else for lightly armored vehicles and stuff, probably not too much of a nerf. It won't be feelable, I don't think. I don't think too much, okay? So, yeah. And then pretty much that's kind of it. I already talked about a lot of the stuff. Of course, remember, they actually changed it on the Stormer HVM over here. On the Starstreak missile, you can see that they changed the fuse delay. Technically, I mean, it should be here, but it's not. That's funny. So yeah, I think it's just a stat card problem. But yeah, in the files, it is not 0.5, it's 0.35 on the fuse delay. Okay, so now it should be a little bit better. Basically, to destroy certain targets, it will be just more sensitive. I don't think it will change too much because it's more of a kinetic round destroyer. But at the same time, it has a little bit of TNT equivalent and stuff. It might do some stuff, 1.2 kilograms and stuff. So it will help a little bit, especially for heavily armored helicopters, I think, right? Like an Mi-24 or something. So yeah, a little bit of a buff. Forget about the stat card, it is implemented. Okay, so yeah, basically this is it. These are the main changes that we already talked about yesterday, but I just really wanted to show to you guys inside the game what they did. So yeah, see you guys on the next one. and subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and bye.